Hello, one and all, and welcome back to another thrilling episode of Off the Dome. I'm your humble interviewer, Jordan Brown, and with me, as always, is our dynamic director. Say hi, dynamic director.
Hi, dynamic director.
Tamar, thank you so much for joining me again. For those of you watching at home, I'll probably cut out the very first part. I may be out of sync currently on your video. I'm definitely out of sync as we're recording, and it is wildly distracting. So I'll try to keep my hands down at least so that it's not like me talking, because it's super distracting when I'm watching my hand motions out of sync. But Tamar, thank you so much. Very important people. A triumph. But before we get into that, do you hate Maroon 5? Do you know why I think you hate Maroon 5?
Okay, tell me.
Because the lead singer has poisoned anyone's ability to pronounce your last name correctly.
So it's funny because you mentioned Maroon 5, and all I can think of at this point is Princess Emily's episode.
Yes, Maroon 5 question mark?
But yeah, anyone that's never met a Jewish person before always asks me if I am related to Adam Levine from Maroon 5. I'm like, no, there's like a million of us. And also I pronounce it Levine, which is very confusing and annoying. So just call me whatever you want.
I thankfully, before I made my first video talking about you, it's so distracting. Before I made my first,
so funny. It's like say just like a thing.
I mean, the audio I think is fine, right? It's just the video that's out of sync.
The audio is perfect, and the video is perfect as well. It's just very...
Right, yeah. They're just not... No, you're perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, I've had this happen before, and it catches up weirdly, like, at a certain point.
We should just start, like...
Yeah, just moving. And then we go.
Cool.
I thankfully saw your last looks, the first last looks, because you say your last name in the first last looks, and I was like, "Oh boy, I would have mispronounced it."
Totally fine. You wouldn't have been the first. You definitely wouldn't have been the last. I hate is a strong word, but I wouldn't say I'm a big fan of Maroon 5, actually. But it's not because of the last name.
Fair enough.
But yeah, actually now I am a fan of Princess Emily's version of Maroon 5 now.
Right. Maroon 5 question mark. Such a stellar band. I mean, first of all, obviously, like, congratulations in order. Season 2 of Very Important People.
So excited.
Yeah, I mentioned this to Vic, but I was like, I had a moment of panic because I posted the video where Sam was like, it's coming back for season 2, and I tagged you in it, and I was like, God, what if they didn't bring Tamar back for season 2? And I've just
so extremely awkward. Yes. I'm so glad that they did bring me back, and I'm also glad that that I found out before you announced it, because I would have had a complete panic attack.
Vic said, to your full credit, that the show would not be the same. Like, they would have to fully rebrand the show if you were not a part of it, because it just wouldn't be the same without you.
It's Vic and I'm really, really thankful that they are bringing you back and that they're, trusting me to do it. And, I said it last time, but like, I had more fun on this particular set than I have in, a very, very, very long time. So I'm just happy to have fun again.
Yeah, I mean, the show, it's so much fun. It's... Every episode seems to get better, which is, I mean, really impressive considering, like, because every week I see, like, I'm deep in the Reddit and the Discord and everything, and people are like, this is my favorite episode. Every week, a bunch of people are like, this is my favorite episode, and it's very fun to see, like, people routinely celebrating the show, that every week is their new favorite.
Well, it is interesting. Like, I think I said this last time, or I've said this to, people before when talking about it. Like, I think what's so great about it is that there's going to be something for everyone. So, if one episode isn't your cup of tea, then, the next episode is going to be completely different than the previous. So I think it's just like, by its nature of having completely different characters and completely different performers, like it's just going to be different every time, which is fun for me as well as the viewers.
Yeah, it's super fun. I'll also say, this is not related to the show. The blinks are out of my. I just was watching myself. Like I was watching you, but like out of the corner of my eye, I could see when I would blink, but like it wasn't synced up to when I was actually blinking, and it's upsetting.
So, okay, this is what I want you to do. I want you to say blink while you blink, and I'm going to see how.
Okay. Blink.
Wow. Yeah, that's like a good one, Mississippi.
Yeah. So like I was just like I was listening to you talk and I could just see out of the corner of my eye my eyes close and open and I was like, but I didn't just do that. I don't like being able to see my eyes close and open. That's not something I should be able to see.
It's really interesting for me because sometimes I don't know if this is gonna be how it looks in when people actually see it, but you are occasionally your mouth is moving very, very quickly, like in fast forward, and that's kind of fun as well. So this is it's keeping me on my toes a little bit.
Yeah. Look, Vic and I, for the first 3 episodes of our accidental podcast that we started, because we're 5 episodes in now, for the first 3, severe technical problems every single time. We haven't had them, knock on wood, the last 2 episodes. But yeah, there were, in one of them, Vic was fully in slow motion for me for the entire time. So at one point they like called a timeout and they did that. And it was like 10 seconds I saw later them like put their hands up. And I was like, it was, so it's just on par for very important people interviews to be weird as very important people interviews should be. 'Cause they are so weird.
Exactly.
Yeah, I still think Nana's my favorite episode in terms of impressive improv, but Tommy Shriggly made me laugh harder than anything I've seen in a very long time. Although I will say, you absolute son of a bitch, you won't die in Nana, like caused a like reaction from me that I was not prepared for with how hard I laughed at it. But yeah, in tears, as obviously were Vic and Zach at military. Oh boy.
That was such a fun one. I think I said last time we spoke, it was the last one that we filmed, and we just, it had been a very long day, a very long week, and some of the set was rented, some of it wasn't rented. Hopefully next time I was just on a call, kind of like a pre-production call about season 2, and I was like, maybe next time we can try to like buy most of the set so we don't have to be so like worried about it getting ruined, because it is so fun when the performers can kind of like destroy whatever they want to destroy.
Yeah, I will say, because you had told me that it was the final episode, you told Zach that like there was no more shooting to be done to do whatever he wanted. And in my head, that meant Zach was going to fully demolish the set. Like I thought Zach was going to like yeah, just like breaking the vases, throwing stuff through the window.
I would have gotten a lot of trouble if that had happened, but maybe next time we'll see. Like we're gonna have to somehow destroy more next time. So that might be a sledgehammer. Maybe I'll bring a sledgehammer on set next time.
Yeah, just have that on your infinite prop table of other things to like.
Only like I go to Home Depot and all the props are just like various things to destroy the entire set. That would be fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I am really curious. What was it like on set for you? Because I know what it was like for Vic. I
Yeah.
mean, we all saw the "Please Stand By" edits as Vic fully broke. Unlike anything I've ever seen with Vic before, in a lot of hours of content. Did I mean whole set lose their mind at Tommy Shriggly?
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, Tommy Shriggly and Nan. Well, do you know what? I don't know. So many episodes. I do remember Zach's episode. Like there were times that could I could not hold it together, and like there was so it was kind of a bunch of us sitting behind Video Village and watching the monitor and watching the set, and I could not stay seated. Like it was too much for me to deal with. So I was like, I stood up, I was like pacing back and forth, I was like tripping over cords, I was like physically holding my, hand in front of my face. It was when with the protein powder, when that happened, I didn't want to ruin it, and like none of us wanted to ruin it because it was just so hard for any of us to like keep it together, and so I physically had to put my hand over my mouth so I wouldn't be the one ruining this protein powder moment, which was like so amazing. And oh my god, like the push-ups, and when Vic started doing push-ups, and I mean, just the whole thing. Like I was literally pacing around this set, just back and forth and back and forth.
Yeah, that's funny
Yeah,
because you mentioned something similar for Nana of
yeah,
you were like, well, I don't have to do anything today as director. I can
yeah,
just walk away. They've got it.
yeah. This one was a little different in that, so Nana, so the Lisa episode, it was, I would say that one in particular, I think I called cut once, maybe twice, like in the entire filming. With Zach's episode, they were having so much fun, and like there was, I think I talked a little bit last time about kind of like shaping a narrative to make sure that there's like a beginning, middle, and end. And so with a lot of these, I mean, you can tell like we're filming for an hour plus, like there are cuts, there are a lot of edits and stuff, and just having to kind of like figure out how to rein this like madness into a narrative. So there were kind of like more, especially with all of the breaks and especially with like how much fun we were all having, like there were a little bit more kind of like cuts and regroups with all of us to figure out, okay, like like where's Tommy going with this, but it was just kind of one of those episodes that like it was so frenetic in such a good way, and like it didn't need any kind of like his character was so endearing in
Yeah,
in itself that like it didn't need much, like it didn't need much kind of like how does Vic feel about him from the beginning to end. Like it was, they have such an amazing dynamic with each other anyway, that it was just, the whole thing was such a blast. That was such
yeah.
a fun episode to film.
Like it's such a special episode. I know. I probably look, if we talked every week, I would say the same things every week of like it's such a special episode because each one does feel that way.
Yeah.
But man, like I talked to Sam about this, and obviously I've talked to Vic about it, but like that, the Vic describes it as the voice of reason, or like in comedy terms, the straight man,
Yeah.
of like that. But then, like the thing that I love is Vic is so much more than that, because like Vic calls for the second like protein powder dump. Like the a normal voice of reason wouldn't have gone in for a second one, and yeah, I just watching the puffs of protein powder escape their mouths, both of them, I should say, of like it's
It was
too
powerful, right? Like seeing
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, no, I mean, when Vic went in for a second tasting of the protein powder, I just like I lost it. I was like, you are committed and I love you and like just keep going, you know. Yeah, that one was it was really fun. It was for me like definitely the craziest transformation of the costumes that we had because it was turning him into not like a creature or an animal or anything like that. It was just like a very heightened human, you
Yeah.
know, like, and so we had such a fun time just kind of like even coming up with the costume and the character and then also seeing where Zach was going to take it because we had no idea. And when you know we were kind of like workshopping it and he turned it into this motivational kind of like hyper positive guy,
Yeah.
I was just like, this is perfect, like, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. You think it's going to be all like, like a lesser improviser, all bodybuilding, like,
Exactly, exactly,
but Zach it's actually mental is what I'm here to talk about.
exactly.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was so
Uh,
much so good.
Yeah, I talked to Vic about because they had posted the picture that they took of Zach in the green room before Zach had seen
Like,
himself, and I talked to them about the picture, and Vic was like, "I walked in and said excuse me because I didn't know who was in the green room," and I was like, "Oh man, like genuinely, like it's so wild because his face isn't covered." And until you hear him speak, you're like, "Oh, that's Sakoyama." Like like it's such a crazy transformation when it's not like like Allie Beardsley in a pig person
right,
costume. Like you're like, okay, like Allie's face is covered, but like Zach's like, I mean, eyebrows are covered, but like his face is still there.
yeah, it was, I mean, what was funny for me about it, kind of opposite of Vic, was I had never met Zach in I hadn't met him in person and I didn't know what he looked like. I had seen a headshot of him. And you know, we had such a crazy shooting schedule that there were some like I tried meeting the performers in the green room before before we started filming, but in or before we started doing the makeup, but in some cases I couldn't. And because he was the last of the day, I actually didn't get to meet him until he was in his makeup. And so that was the first time I saw him was in this makeup. And so I had no idea what it was such a weird experience to kind of
Yeah.
it was actually the same with this episode hasn't come out yet, but with Ross and Rashawn, I didn't get to meet them until I saw them in hair and makeup, and you'll see what they look like.
We've seen the trailer, so I know the like the priestly gear that they're
Yeah,
rocking.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it was pretty wild for me to like, you know, when I hadn't met them before and then seeing them in hair and makeup and then finally seeing them after hair and makeup was very surreal.
Yeah, yeah, that's very funny. Yeah, because I remember like when the trailer came out and like they listed in the trailer like Isabella Roland, Ross Bryant, Rashawn Nadine Scott, and whoever, and like people literally were like, "Wait, who is Izzy?" And because like they just the
Yeah.
makeup transformations are so stark that like
Oh,
people literally
100%. Yeah.
yeah, like people who are huge fans of these performers are like, wait, which one? Like, because the poster came out first, and we were like, there were people online debating who was in the
Yeah.
poster,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah. I
like,
mean, like Brennan, I met Brennan before, but even Brennan's transformation, like, was so, I feel like he was completely unrecognizable from, you know, before and after. I mean, you know, I've talked about how incredible the makeup team was, like Emmy nominated
yeah,
makeup team. You know, we're so lucky to have them. They're just, you know, they're definitely the without them, like it would be a trip to Party City, or you know,
yeah.
like it wouldn't be this, that's for sure.
Yeah, one of the things that I love, like about the makeup team, and I'm in talks. We're trying to coordinate that I can get like multiple of them to like chat with me at the same time because this is all I do now is talk about this show.
I love it.
Yeah, it's fantastic for me. But one of the things I love, like, like you even talked about it in the last looks with Alex, of like, she had put Josh specifically into so many different makeups that it was like, well, he's gonna know what we're doing no matter what we do. And sure enough, like those behind the scenes where he's like, you're painting pimples right now? What's your favorite technique to do that? Just like
Creepy to me. Like
yeah.
I like, because Alex had said to me before, she was like, she had worked with him a lot. She was like, there's no way he's not going to know what we're doing. And I'm like, but what we're doing with him is so different than, like, if, like if he were, like, what I would assume is he would think that we were doing some insane look, but like we made him, basically kind of a different version of, well, not himself, but like, like
a different.
We made him a human, man, and he's a human man. And so it was just, I was so like surprised to when Alex told me that he knew that he was getting pimples on. I was like, how, and like the braces with him, it was, really that wild card moment was the puppet for him.
Yes, that was so brilliant of an inclusion to throw him that curveball right at the last second.
That was very fun. And I think I had mentioned, everything's such a blur right now, but we worked pretty heavily with this amazing, puppet maker that works on incredible things. And like, she took a headshot of his and basically like, made a Josh puppet. And that was really fun for us. I'm hoping we get to do more stuff with puppets.
Yeah. One of the things that's so shocking, and I desperately want to talk to Josh, but Josh is such a like incredibly busy with a like very serious job. But like being like having like crazy that he knew, what the makeup transformations were as like going into it, but getting thrown that puppet and then being able to like switch back and forth between Kep and Dr. Milk it was wild to watch. I mean, like a professional puppeteer level, like popping back and forth between characters. I mean, feeling on set that day, just like that, like magic was happening in front of you.
Yeah, I mean, I had no idea. I don't know if I should ask Sam if he like secretly knew that Josh was a puppet master, because I certainly had no idea. Actually, now that we're talking about it, I'm curious if they knew how good I'm assuming they didn't, but how he went back and forth, and even when you could see his mouth talk, like, or his mouth move, it really didn't matter. Like, just the back and forth, and like, like switching from, having 3 cameras on set and like switching between the cameras, and it was that was incredibly magical to see. He's an incredibly talented person and performer. It was amazing.
Yeah, I love, and obviously I also don't know what we've talked about because everything is a blur.
What did we talk about last time?
Yeah,
he's saying the same exact thing as last time, so sorry in advance.
Yes. Well, at least we didn't talk about that episode because it hadn't aired yet. I have like
Cool.
we talked after Nana, so Dolls, Dr. Milk, and Tommy Shriggly all happened after. But getting Josh to come on.
Know what was released at this point, so please make sure that I don't give any spoilers.
Yeah, I will. BDG is tonight, so Dr. Avery Goodman.
About yes.
And then it was kind of funny. So getting to break the news that it was coming for season 2, I was so excited because so obviously getting to talk to Sam, pretty big deal for me, and he had, and it was kind of funny when I was talking to him. Nervous isn't the right word, but he was like trepidatious about our interview because a normal entertainment reporter doesn't have the like deep knowledge that I have about Dropout. So like he mentioned the word gastronauts in passing as the name of a show, and I was like, you've never mentioned that as the name of a show before. Like that is news as of this moment.
Very careful what you talk about.
Yeah. But yeah, so like when I can rewatching that clip of him telling me like I'm so excited for it to come back for season 2. Like I can see he's building to that moment, and he knows that like he's about to tell me a thing that no one outside of Dropout knows. And so I posted to Reddit like, hey, great news, not surprising, but great news. It's coming back for season 2, and I worded it in a way that was like it's that it was renewed for season 2 or will be back for season 2, something like that. And so a bunch of people were like, "Oh, it's over," and I was like, "Oh no, there's fully 6 more episodes left." Like because people were like, "I thought Brennan was in the trailer," and I was like, "No, yeah, I messed this up." But
No, I mean, it's amazing that, I didn't think that we would even know if there was going to be a season 2 or not until more of the episodes came out. So I was like, and I think I've mentioned this before, but I don't know. Like we've been editing. We actually are editing Brennan's episode right now, and it's so like I've been editing this entire time with Eve, who is the most talented editor. I'm so like, I feel like every single person I say, without them, the show can, and it's true, like without every single person on set, like the show couldn't happen. But truly, like the editing in, like Eve is just like working with her. It's just incredible. I don't even know where I'm going with this. What I think I was gonna say is that we've been editing as we've been going, and so like when we got to the end, which is kind of happening right now.
right, Sam did tell me Brennan is the finale episode,
Okay,
so that is not a spoiler.
you
You're good.
like, should I have said that?
You're good to go. We don't know between BDG and Brennan the order, but we know Brennan is the finale because Sam was like, it's the most we learn about host Vic is in that episode.
Yes, okay. Brennan's the finale. It's off the fucking rails, and we are doing it right now. We're doing the editing, and I got so like depressed when I was like, oh my God, we're done. Like, I am having so much fun, and I had so much fun shooting, and now I'm having so much fun in post with Eve. And like, then, and we were kind of like getting through them all. And I think I think I had like maybe a couple more to go. And then I heard that we were coming back for season 2, and I was like, oh my God, thank God, because I've been so like having so much fun, in post. So I was super, super happy to find that out before, it was over, because I feel like it would have been a very dark couple months where I was like, I miss VIP.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know. Like I talked to Sam about this, and he talked about it in an NPR interview. Sort of the like boxes that they check in terms of like making a show, and one of those is that if you like the show, you can get super nerdy about the show. Like you can get really deep in the weeds on it, and for a show like VIP, it feels so perfect because there is obviously the improv aspect of it all and sort of the brilliance that we get to see on camera, but then there is everything that we're seeing. I mean, I guess technically on camera because you're filming the makeup present, but like stuff you wouldn't normally see for a television show of like the makeup aspects, editing, all of that stuff that you can like people can really get into. And I have no idea where I was going with this.
No, I mean, like to add to that, it's cool that people even are interested in that, like it's, and yeah, it's true. It's like, on paper, this is a pretty kind of like straightforward concept, but Vic and I, we talked a lot in season 1 about like, the kind of like backstory of their character and like, like Vic's stepdaughter and like, all this stuff that's coming out. And so as a fan, like if you do choose to kind of like, you know, follow the story, like you do learn about Vic as a character, not just as like, you know, kind of like an interviewer. And that's been really fun for us. And then in season 2, we're gonna, you know, obviously develop that as well. So that'll be really fun to play around with. And I'm really hoping that we can, you know, we haven't gone in the weeds with the pre-production yet, but we will, you know, obviously be seeing how we can kind of like push it and just make it more and more fun.
Yeah, yeah. I had talked to Vic about like Dream Guest season 2. Their dream guest is Barbara Walters. Just like get Barbara in like some wild makeup, have her be so confused as to what's happening. Do you have any like shoot for the star dream guests? Because I know Hank Green said he wasn't funny enough to be on the show. I don't know if you saw him post about that.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, let's see.
Yeah,
Barbara
go
Walters.
outside of improv because then you don't have to actually like this is a promise that you don't even have to try
Yeah,
and fulfill.
I know. I'm like, we are absolutely getting no, we have no idea who we're getting for next season yet. So I definitely can't make any promises. I love the Barbara Walters answer. I mean, this entire time I've kind of like, you know, Vic and I have basically when we were kind of going like shaping season 1, I was looking at old Barbara Walters interviews and then also old Oprah
Mhm.
interviews. And I feel like Oprah would be incredible as well. And like, especially if they were a duo. And I mean, even down to like the trailer we modeled after a it was a well, there were a couple comps, but one of the comps that I found was this old Oprah trailer from like the 80s, and it's just so perfect. So
Yeah.
I feel like getting like one of them or like yeah, like a talk show like Sally Jesse Raphael,
Oh, so
anyone
good.
knows who she
Yeah.
is, and like, you know, I think like getting one of these really you know, kind of like authentic old school talk show
Yeah.
hosts on to like banter with Vic would be incredible.
It would be so much fun. Yeah, I had in that Reddit post where I was like season 2, and then I had said like who would you like to see in season 2, and it was mildly very funny because a bunch of people were like Rashawn, Izzy, and I was like, well, great news.
Yeah.
You're gonna see him in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, let's reach for the stars a little. Yeah, I'm curious. What did people say
Uh,
say they
so
wanted?
a lot of the like dropout folks that if you like you're deep like in dropout like that you would like Lou Wilson, probably the number one, like this
Cool.
they want them on there. Someone, and this is one of my favorite suggestions, was Brennan, but you just fake put prosthetics on him for an hour, and then you just put him in a nice outfit that Izzy picked out for him and just send him out there. And as well as people were hoping for like Vic to be transformed or to do like someone as Vic, so like you have a double Vic like sit down, all of you know like but yes, there were none that were as wild as Barbara Walters, but yeah, a lot of people who were going to be on season 1. Yeah, people wanted Sam Reich, of course, to come on, and which, yeah, I think would be very fun as well. But yeah, it was a lot of the like the dropout regulars, as
Yeah,
well as then people just being like, I want Jacob to come back, I want Zach to come back every
yeah.
year, because they're so funny and they have such good like interplay with Vic. Um,
Yeah, it's definitely a conversation that we're having about like, you know, I think the show itself got popular in a way that I don't think any of us really expected, which has been awesome. And we have been having people, you know, reach out and, you know, people that are like pretty big improvisers reaching out and wanting to be on the show. And
that's
it's
amazing.
yeah, it's awesome. And, you know, I think that like one thing that's going to be really, really fun is casting season 2 and having kind of like a balance of you know, because it's not about just getting like, you know, big people. It's about
Right.
getting people that have like a great rapport with Vic and like, you know, people who are, you know, like you know, I can't even spoil anything because we haven't even had this conversation, but like, you know, it's a balance between bringing, you know, like bigger names and then also people who are just favorites of Dropout and, you know, people that like Vic likes performing with as well. So that'll be really fun to cast for sure.
Yeah, I'm I envy and don't envy you in terms of like the pool of talent that
I know.
you are drawing from for.
Hey, I mean, look, like
Yeah,
we're shooting in LA. We only shoot, I'm hoping we have a little bit more time to shoot next time, but we'll see. But I mean, even if we don't, like, it really isn't that big of a commitment for
right.
people. So being in LA where there's so many incredibly talented people and like, you know, we're just filming very locally and they could just come for a few hours and have a blast. You know, it's, I think that like we're very fortunate to you know, be able to kind of have a bunch of really talented people on set for sure.
Yeah, and it's one of the things that like I talked to Sam about of like sort of building out that roster of Dropout talent
Mm-hmm.
in terms of both like bringing in like Wayne Brady was on Game Changer the last season, right? Like obviously a huge get for improvisational comedy.
Totally.
Um, but you know, like also like elevating people that you know maybe general public hasn't seen before.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean that's a big thing too. It's like, and then also, you know, also a balance between having certain improv styles, right? Like because some people are going to be more character driven and some people are going to be a little bit more kind of conversational and you know, like some people will be more about physical humor and some people will be more about conversational humor. So definitely like you know, again, the thing that really excites me about the show is that every episode is so wildly different. And so having like a range of talent, so every episode feels, you know, like there's something for everyone, I think
Yeah,
is really important.
yeah, yeah, it every episode does feel so different in such a fun way, in terms of just like getting to see, especially like you know, like for a lot of folks who watch Dropout, we get to see like Zach Oyama in a. Oh, I do have another one. People want Jess McKenna and Zach Reno to come on as a duo, where they think they're in a musical, and Vic does not.
These like super specific ads that are like, okay, we will.
Yeah, like people were like, bring in Sam as the Dropout America CEO, which is his conservative alter ego, and it's like you don't really like you're really prescriptive in terms of what the improv would be then. But
Right. Yeah, I mean, I will say that, like, you know, the thing that's been so fun for me is like, and you know, we talk about this a little bit in Last Looks, where we had titles for the characters, and then every single performer took it in a completely wildly different direction, and so it's really really important for us to not be prescriptive and to
yeah,
like have a balance between you know like having a costume and a look for someone that is broad enough that they can kind of like take it where they want but is also specific enough that it's you know funny and like not just kind of like a bunch of monsters you know
right,
whatever.
yeah,
So um yeah, but I do love hearing what people want to see. It's like that's inspiring to me.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, people also just like because Zach Reno and Jess McKenna are so talented together, and obviously like do improv, musical improv all the time. They just you know expect if you put the two of them together, they're going to start singing. Um, but yeah, you know, speaking of like taking it in another direction, or sort of like getting to see a different direction of someone, like I was starting to say before I distracted myself with my own thoughts, of like,
By the way, really quick, you're in sync
yes,
now, which is
oh,
awesome.
am I?
Yeah,
That's oh, hey, I am. That's very
so
exciting.
refreshing. Okay, keep
Yeah.
going.
40 minutes in and we're finally smooth sailing. Yeah, like getting to see like a lot of people who watch Dropout, you see Zach Oyama as like this very like comedy sniper He is there for like the perfect timing, like little, like not that they're little moments, but like he waits for his moment, and then you put him in the Tommy Shriggly makeup and sort of force him into as big and bold a character as you could possibly do. And you know, like people like Vic, obviously, who perform with him on stage, know that he can do that just as well. But it's really fun to get to see, you know, even for like people like me who are deep in the paint on Dropout, like the like you know like here's a new angle to this
Right.
improviser that you maybe haven't seen before.
1,000%. Yeah. I completely after watching, like, I think I said last time, or maybe I didn't, but I have become a fan of Dropout since, directing VIP, and it's been really fun seeing these improvisers as themselves, because
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
just such a different type of humor and, different role for them.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I mean, next Monday, oh boy, you talk about different role for them. The Game Changer episode will be Sam Says 3, and it's Vic,
Oh, yeah.
Jacob, and Lou. And everything I have heard about it is that it is just absolutely wild.
Yeah, Game Changer has been that's been one of my favorite ones to watch. I think Game Changer, and I really like Dirty Laundry. I think
Mhm.
it's like a fun it kind of reminds me of like when I was a teenager, and I used to read like 17 magazine and
Mhm.
would read like the little kind of, embarrassing moments. I love watching Dirty Laundry, and I love watching Game Changer, and Game Changer has it's been like really fun, also like editing and kind of like hearing what they're doing, and like, hearing from Vic and hearing from like the rest of the cast what they're doing, and just like, yeah, I mean, without even being involved, like I can tell you that I am very, very excited to see where this, season goes for sure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's very fun. I think I'm back out of sync again. Yep, fully
You
back out of
are.
sync.
Oh, that's
Great,
fun.
cool. Yeah. But oh gosh, why would it work? Yeah, yeah, oh, I will say, like, Grant O'Brien, Lily Do, also high on people's lists. I mean, especially Grant, of getting him into like some wild makeup and letting him go nuts because he's boy, that man is a glutton for punishment. So, like, I think would fit in real well with like
I know.
the assholeness of host Vic.
Totally.
Just uh,
Yeah, we need just like maybe 50 more seasons to get
yeah,
all of these very talented
yeah.
people
Look,
on.
it's 20 episode seasons from here
Exactly.
on out, and just do them forever. That's all we want.
No, I would be, yeah, like I think that there should be no delineation between like real life and VIP actually. I think it
Yeah,
should I want Vic to show up at my door as host Vic and interview me actually. I think that would be
yeah,
really
yeah.
fun.
Say, we can't throw things at PAs
Right.
anymore. Oh, Vic,
I love that line so much. Yeah.
so good. Um, yeah, it was funny. It was one of the clips of very important people that's on TikTok. Someone commented they wanted 6 seasons in a movie, just the like the community thing that had happened, the television show, not like the concept of community. And I was like, why do you want so few seasons? I was like, we need way more than 6. What are you talking about? Like it goes forever.
Yeah, I love the idea of Vic, like of host Vic, just yeah, like their character just kind of like getting, like their backstory getting kind of like richer and richer,
Yeah,
and yeah, it'll be, I think the one thing that, is not a it's not a spoiler or a secret is that we filmed them in a different order from how we release them. And so that's really interesting when we've been talking, when Vic and I talk about their backstory, and like seeing kind of like little pieces come out of, like like Vic's stepdaughter, you know, like whatever other kind of like little tidbits they come out with, like, you know, the guest house and stuff like that. That's been really interesting as well, because you know, we're shooting them in completely different order, and then the little backstory is coming out. So we have to be kind of like strategic as well about like, you know, the backstory and like how much we're kind of giving away with their backstory, especially as we're talking about season 2, since it's since we don't know when until we shoot it, you know, how we're going to release it.
Right. Yeah. 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 I know Sam, when I talked to Sam, he talked about like the Brennan episode is where you get sort of like the most Vic backstory. And I think he even said, you know, like the fun, I don't know if you call it the fun thing, but one of the cool things about the show is like each episode is sort of like a character study of the person across the chair, but the season is the character study of host Vic,
Exactly.
which is very fun to get to experience. And it's very fun to get to experience like out of order, but like makes total sense in release order, which is very fun. Of like, you know, like when we talked after the first 3 episodes, and it felt like the Living Dolls episode was, first of all, so much fun and so funny,
I love that.
but made so much sense in terms of release order, because it was just like Vic had been beaten down and beaten down and beaten down, and then like here are the dolls, and Vic can finally like assert dominance of like, no, I'm important, and I can be mean to you.
And that's actually, well, 2 things that I kind of thought of is, one, that actually wasn't going to be the one that was going to come out after Nana. After Nana, it was going to be Josh's episode.
Mhm.
And we decided to put the dolls before Josh's episode because Nana was such an intense episode that we kind of wanted to like lighten it up. And so that's kind of like been interesting in itself, is like figuring out like, you know, playing with this release order and saying like, okay, you know, it is really important to not have like, you know, like imagine having like and no one's seen Brennan's episode yet, but like imagine seeing, you know, like Brennan, Lisa, and, you know, Josh's episode, like all, and probably Zach's too, like all together, and then seeing kind of some of this like lighter kind of like, you know, um st- you know, these like kind of like lighter episodes, or just kind of like more, you know, gamey episodes or
Mhm.
whatever. So we are being very strategic about how we release them, and like, you know, just kind of giving people like a little bit of a breath, because I
Yeah.
know, you know, like Lisa's episode, I will stand by, like that to me was just improv magic. Like it
Yep.
was so fun,
100% agree.
but I do know that it was, you know, an intense episode. And then, you know, kind of like basically like after this, you know, kind of like really intense, rich dinner, you want to give people like a little bit of dessert, you know, just to kind of like lighten it. And then also, in addition, what I was going to say is, Vic and I have, you know, we did talk about this backstory, and then we've also been, keeping track as well of we have like a Google Doc where we kind of like keep track of, you know, their backstory as well, so for so we can keep building on it.
Yeah, you're building your show Bible, which is a very fun concept for an improvised show.
Exactly. Yeah, and staying true to the improv format. And that's the other thing as well, is like we don't want like, and I think that's why it works to release episodes out of order, because it's not following a scripted arc. We're just saying like, okay, so this is your backstory, like, you know, this is Vic's backstory. And so when it feels right to Vic, when do they kind of like give little tidbits out, and
Mhm.
like when does it come up in conversation? And Vic is obviously a genius at doing that, like not just being so quick with these interviews, but also being very like multi-layered and saying like, okay, so this is how I feel about this character or this performer. Um, this is what I know about myself as my character, and this is how I'm gonna kind of like, you know, let kind of information trickle out. It's really like they're genius. Like
Yeah.
they're really, really, really amazing at that.
Yeah, I million% agree. It's very funny. I, our first interview went live on YouTube like this week. I don't know, really recently. And I posted a clip of you saying that you were Vic's number one fan personally and professionally.
It's true.
Yeah. And someone in my comments was like, I'm going to fight tomorrow for being Vic's number one fan.
Who is it? I'll do it. Tell them.
And I was like, you're going to obviously have to get in line behind me.
Yeah.
I've accidentally started a podcast with them.
Yeah, we should all fight we should have a duel and for Vic's number one fan. I think that would be really fun.
That sounds great. It's very funny. Bria Iyengar, obviously a dropout regular as well, and I have a blood feud, and so you're not the only person
here.
Yeah, you're not the only person to drop out who wants to kill me.
Well, maybe I need to make some shirts, like Vic's number one fan shirts, and it's really not only exciting to me that I get to work with them, but also that I just get to witness it. And I think there are people that are just funny people that everyone's a fan of, obviously so great for, everyone's gonna love seeing Wayne Brady on a show, he's incredible. But then to be able to kind of for me to discover someone like Vic, and then also these other performers Zach, I had never seen in anything, and he's incredible. And just for me, being able to witness this and witness these people do this art that I could never in my life do is just I feel so just blessed to be able to witness it and to work with them.
Yeah. And one of the Vic interview podcast things that I have, someone was like, when are you going to be on VIP? And I was like, I am not a talented enough improviser to sit across from Vic in full makeup. Come on. I
would, if I was sitting next to Vic, even without makeup, I would just be saying watermelon over and over and over again. I would not know what to say. So it's cool for me to, it's the same with every set. It's same with what Alex does, same with what Eve, our editor, does. There's a reason that VIP and all of these other dropout shows work, and it's because everyone is so talented at what they do, and there's and every single person is incredibly important to the show. There's no way that it could be made without any of these. Alex, there's no way. Vanessa, no way. Eve, no way. Sam, obviously not. Vic, no way. So it's just
and you, no way. Per Vic. So that's the truth.
That's really sweet of Vic. But I will fight them, and we'll see who's right here.
I am curious, talking about that, obviously, we talked about the first 3 episodes. Now 3 more have come out. You said improvisers are reaching out, not to name any names or anything, but what is that the fan reaction that you're, fan art, fan edits, people just kind of losing their minds. What's that feeling like?
The fan art has been so not just incredible, but cool to see, and people's interpretations of it, and seeing these, I'm wow, these characters really do all work as they all need their own animated show or something. They're just, it's that's been really, really, really cool. It's awesome to see who what characters resonate with, what fans. It's the fan art, everything I see, I'm just like, this is, yeah, I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing to see what resonates with people. It's amazing to see the interpretations that people have. Like, I wish that I could, buy like a Princess Emily album, and like I wish that I could live in a guest house with Denzel, and like, all of these characters have really turned into like their own entity, and it's really cool to see that. Like,
Yeah.
I wish that every single character could have like their own, spin-off sitcom. Like, it would
Right.
be amazing.
Yeah, and I think like the only downside, I don't know, it's not really, but like it doesn't the show doesn't feel like bringing a character back doesn't feel like it's a good use of like the improviser or the makeup team. And it's like, oh, but I want a Vic and Denzel
Yeah, like
reunion
what
show.
happens after.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's been so interesting, because the nature of the show is like this Barbara Walters, type of talk show. So like, we're not going to you know yes, like the whole point of the show is the performers don't know who they are, and they have to make a character up on the spot. Like, it's in the intro, Vic says it every single episode. So like, it would defeat the point, but at the same time, like, the performers have done such an amazing job of creating, such a rich history for each of them, that like, me, not only as like the, like being a part of the show, but also being a fan of the performers, like, I would love to see a spinoff of every single one of them. That would be amazing. It would be like, yeah, it would be amazing to just have them all like, um, you know, together for
Yeah.
their own weird, yeah.
Yeah, someone talked about like a end of the season, like a housewives reunion where you get all of them like back in their makeup on stage together.
Oh my God, you just reminded me that I have the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills finale to watch, and I am so excited about that. That is my Friday night tonight.
I'm
Very
I'm so excited for you. I've seen very little of the Housewives, but I don't know if you've watched the Housewives episodes of Actually. They're super fun if you haven't seen.
No.
They're not. The Housewives aren't on them, but Izzy is one of the contestants, as well as Christina Ariel and Glenn Doolin, I think is her name. And it's like all reality. They're reality TV, but like it's really really heavily Housewives themed. They're very fun.
Like, this is one episode of Actually, or
I
one.
think there are 2 or maybe 3 episodes. They've done it a couple of times.
Okay. That is going to be what I watch after I watch the
Yeah.
reunion.
They're super fun. I've talked to Christina about the Housewives for like an hour, where I just like asked a question and then she explained everything to me that I didn't understand.
Yeah, that's like some useless knowledge that you definitely don't need to know. But I'm like, yeah, it's as I think we talked about, who knows what we talked about last time, but like, as a mom to a toddler, like, I don't have any bandwidth for like content. Like, all I have to watch is like The Bachelor, Real Housewives, and I'm set. Like, that's all I need right now. And Dropout,
Yeah.
of course.
Of course. Yeah. Tamar, thank you so much for joining me for potentially an identical conversation. I'm just kidding. It definitely wasn't.
It definitely was identical.
Yeah.
And if I said anything I wasn't supposed to say, I'm sorry, Sam. Please have me back for season 2 still. And yeah, that was fun. Anytime. Like, I'm really excited to see what everyone thinks about how many episodes do we have left?
We have 6. I mean, 6 technically. Like, I mean, one of them is in like 2.5 hours or whatever. But like 6 episodes, which means like 12 more weeks. What, right? Did I do math right? I don't know.
Yeah, I can't do math, but yes, something.
Yeah.
Yes, you're right. Yeah, every other one that makes 12. That is basic math right there. Yes, it's gonna be amazing to see what ends up being like the favorites of who, when we have 2 more teams coming up, which is going to be cool to see. And, you know, Brian's night is going to be awesome. So,
yep. I am so excited to see it tomorrow. Thank you so much. I'm so excited also for our definitely happening panel at South by Southwest next year.
Let's do that. Let's hang out in Austin. Let's get some barbecue.
Yeah, when Vic was like, I'm coming to South by, I think they're like, I'm gonna be there for, I don't even know if they're here for 36 hours. They're here for such like they get in Saturday like afternoon and they leave Sunday night. Like they're like barely here. And I was like, here's a dozen restaurant recommendations. And like, here's 3 taco places that are downtown in order of like where I think you should eat at them.
So about all of them. I've never been. I've been to Austin for about like 36 hours at a time for different shoots, and I would love. Next time we're gonna come. It's gonna be awesome. We're gonna, and then obviously come to LA and let's hang out over here.
Yes, absolutely. All right, wonderful. Yeah, because obviously Dropout Con is happening. Sam says now he said 5 years. I talked him down to 3, so we just have to keep 2027 clear. So yeah, that's all in the works.
I'll see you in 2027.
Perfect. No, we'll see. I'll see you next year in Austin for a very important panel. But yeah, Dropout Con when that's 3 years. That'll be season 5 of Very Important People. It'll be
knock on wood.
Hey. It's got to happen. All right. I don't know how to end these. So other than just like rambling incoherently.
You are in, let's end. You're in sync now. So let's end on a high note.
Yes.
And thank you for interviewing me today.
This was wonderful. Thank you.